Hey everyone, it's Mary here. Welcome to today's Q&A. If you want your questions to be asked and you can't make the live session, don't be afraid to send us an email at desk@introvertsuccessinitiative.com. That's desk@introvertsuccessinitiative.com. So let's go into today's questions. So Lisa is asking, I'm in a place of not wanting to be where I am in life right now, which has triggered of being resentful, complaining, negativity, anxiety, and lazy. Hey, Lisa. Today I'm having a really good day and not in my head. This week I have the house to myself. Cultivating positivity is my goal. It keeps me present and not an asshole. I hear you. I know this very well personally. Okay. One simple pleasure, I have been sleeping on the couch. Love it. I slept in my parents' bed. That made the world of difference. I don't have my own space. That has been weighing on me. This morning I took some supplements. I know I'm a good worker. Cultivating that truth today and connected to my clients in a fun way. Now able to use my parents' room for space. I'm going to relax, eat, Netflix, and go on drawing my sister's tattoo. Maybe it's because I feel I have space and my family is gone. There is not as much confrontation. I'm back to independence. So when they come back, I need to figure something out or find a way to communicate to find that solace. Why am I having a hard time? Maybe it's not space, but just a deeper issue. Okay, great question and a good bit of background information there. So why you're having a hard time? So first of all, let's just look at, you were saying that you're resentful, complaining, negativity, anxiety, and lazy. Okay, so you're an introvert. More specifically, you're an INFP. But let's just talk about this in terms of other introverts can also relate to. So when we as introverts, we have two predominant grown-up parts of us. We have our adult self and we have our inner parent. And one of those is a decision-making part of you, and one of those is an information collecting part of you. You're an INFP, your decision maker is your adult self, which is introverted feeling, which stipulates that you can only really do something when you know it's right for you, and if it's not right for you, you can't do it at all, or you can't do it at least for a prolonged period of time. And your inner parent, which is the other grown-up in your car, is what's called an exploration. And it's extroverted intuition. And what that means, that's your information collecting part of you. What happens when you feel as an introvert, what happens when you feel an outside influence on you? You can become introverted, fully introverted, where you, instead of using your inner parent to explore the information, you start to use the 10-year-old, the inner 10-year-old, which is an introverted part of you, which for you, it's introverted part for every introvert, but for you, Lisa, as an INFP, it's your memory or your introverted sensing. So you actually collect the information not from the outside world and not actually what's real, but from your previous experiences of how you've interpreted whatever has been happening. And what happens with that is, if you feel like this sense of, it's coming from every direction, I feel like cornered by my parents' energy and all that, the more you keep repeating that to yourself, the more you will continue to experience that as an accurate expression of your life. So whatever you're feeling or whatever you observe or whatever, you know, if a pain goes unexamined within you, if you don't challenge your pain points, they will begin to push you down, and they will begin to make you think things like, I can't live in the same house as my parents. Now, I'm not saying you should live in the same house with your parents. I'm not saying that at all. It may be completely wrong for you. It may be right for you for a short period of time. So perhaps there was a reason why you're there, back there, as opposed to living somewhere else. Will that reason override your inner children's insecurities about the living situation? Are you able to inner parent your inner 10-year-old into showing that you're not their little child anymore, that this isn't the only, you know, this isn't the only way to exist with your parents. There might be other ways to exist with your parents. For example, you know, treating them as like a peer adult in a certain way, you know, like offering to do, so not sinking into the child role of, you know, being cooked for, being, you know, whatever, but taking a more like an adult role, maybe cooking dinner for them, maybe, you know, looking after them as a little thank you for being back there. So don't immediately assume the role of a child. Assume a role of a person that you are right now, not who you were back then. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Put down, Elisa, in the comments if it doesn't make sense and if you need to explore this further. But what I would say to you is, yes, there can be deeper issues, but unfortunately for us INF types in particular, because we have intuition and feeling you know, there are predominant, or we're really good at using those. When something feels negative, we tend to use our intuition to find even more negative things in the issue that we're facing. So just kind of try that and see how that goes. Oh, you said yes, thank you, awesome. So try that and see how that goes, and report back on this message thread. Let us know how you go with that, and then we might be able to take it a bit further. If you have questions for next week's Q&A, that's fantastic. All right, moving on to the next question, and this is anonymous, but I know that this person is an INFJ or an INFP, but introvert all the same. So I'm working on finding ways to de-escalate when my manager targets me and not let my anxiety get out of control. It is pretty difficult, but I'm determined to find new ways around her toxic behavior towards me. What are some strategies I can use? Okay, the very first thing I want to ask you is this a recurring pattern? Are you going to places of work where the management has a problem with you? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you are doing something to contribute to that situation. If the answer to your question is no, then it's probably this person that's, you know, having a problem. Now, if it's this person that's having a problem, so I'm not saying it's one or the other, only you know which one it is, so I'll just leave that one up to you. But if it's this person specifically, what the strategies that I would use would be to extend, and you may not like this, because this is not very, I know you personally, and I know you're direct, and that's one of the reasons why you and I get along so well. But learn language around softer approaches to things. So if it's that person, they have some kind of a problem. Is it okay for her to project her personal problems onto you at work? No, it's not. But she's doing it, and you're at work and you're having to deal with it, which means that you can't do your work because you're having to deal with this stuff. You can actually I was going to say de-trigger, but I don't think that's a word. you can actually just kind of unravel this in a very safe way, like open this up in a way that can be surprising if you want, if that's what you want to do. So you're asking for my strategies on how to deal with this. I would just pull her aside and just say to her, hey, you know, what's happening for you? You know, you seem really stressed out. Is there anything I can help to support? Is there anything I can do to support you, to help you? Can I, you know, can I get you a cup of tea? So using those little snippets of humanity that connects all of us, because when we're having a hard time, just having somebody ask if you want a cup of tea can be so helpful and so nurturing. You can actually turn that situation around very quickly by extending empathy, especially when they're, you know, having such a hard time. So if it's just this person who's having a hard time, then I would just say, you know, empathy, try that and really like mean it. Don't just do it as a strategy to, you know, get a different response. Like, don't just manipulate the person. Actually try and care, like really try and, hey, what's happening for you? What can I do for you? How can I support you? And that tends to flip everything around. Now, if you've noticed that there's a pattern in your own experience with this kind of thing, then what I would say to you as a strategy is ask yourself, and it's kind of related to the extending empathy, is why do you feel that their attacks are like that their behavior is like a personal attack towards you? And because if it's several different people, then there's a pattern and you're the common denominator, right? So why do you, like, what inside of you is saying, I can't trust my managers, or I can't trust my bosses, or I can't trust my co-workers? What is that thing there? What is it? Like, what's the essence of it? And if you can find out what that is, then what will happen is that you will begin to soften that a little bit the more authenticity you find around it. And you can become a little bit less, there's a really good Finnish word that I'm trying to translate, but there's actually no translation for it. You become a little bit, you're able to relax into the situation without it being a threat. Basically, that's what it is. It's, you know, you don't have to be so, I'm not saying you're defensive, but the behavior, the response to these people doesn't have to be so defensive. You can kind of relax into it and say, hey, what's going on for you? You know, what's happening? Because I think that your directness is, I think it's fantastic. I love direct people simply because you know where you stand, but most people, because they're not very honest with themselves about who they are, they don't love or appreciate themselves or accept themselves. They can't handle directness because they feel like every piece of directness is a piece of what would I say? Criticism, really, criticism. That's how it feels. So when anybody feels criticized who has these fears about themselves not being perfect, then they will go into the defense and then attack, because they're all of their self-worth is possibly being crumbled down by your directness. So that's how I would answer those questions. Any other questions to do with that? Any comments, confusions? Just pop them down into the questions space. All right, that's it for today. So for next week's session, if you want to send us a question, just pop them into desk@introvertsuccessinitiative.com. And I hope to see you at the next live session. Take care. Have a great day.